Last year, Hungary saw an unprecedented influx of refugees. The crisis was well visible all across the country, from border to border, in urban parks, in railway stations, along the highways. Refugees were basically everywhere. Even in this widely visible setting, one location still stood out. The underground area near the Keleti railway station became a refugee camp for weeks, if not months, between the days of August and September of 2015. One thing was clear. Although several hundred refugees were staying in this area in these days, Hungarian volunteers clearly showed that they appreciate solidarity and they show humanity and they help these people. Amidst all the chaos, which was only worsened by the anti-refugee propaganda of the Hungarian government, many NGOs and many volunteers without an NGO background showed up day by day helping refugees. Fast forward to 2016. The borders of the country are now closed, and although the refugee crisis in Europe only got worse over time, in the eyes of average Hungarians, refugees are not visible anymore. The consequences are dire. It's a well-known cliché that people are afraid of the unknown, and refugees are now invisible to the everyday Hungarians. So no wonder that xenophobia figures amongst Hungarians have hit all-time records earlier this year. So when we planned out this year's World Refugee Day activities here at UNHCR, one thing was clear. We need to remind Hungarians that refugees are not the statistics they so often see in newscasts and in news programs. Refugees are human beings, and we also need to remind Hungarians that they need to stand with refugees. Thus, an idea was born, an idea of an open-air photo exhibition at a symbolic location, which is, I'm surprised you've already guessed, the underground area near Keleti railway station. The concept is really simple. We use 10 triangle-shaped displays. We show 28 pictures with a small description and a small petition. These pictures show moments of the current refugee crisis in Europe. Now, the selection of these pictures is somewhat unique. After some thoughts, we decided that we would not want to shock people. There are so many shocking and really striking pictures in this crisis. We intentionally decided not to pick these ones. It may sound a little unlikely, but with the selecting of the pictures, we decided to show a positive image, not of the crisis, but of the refugees. There are three key messages this exhibition intends to convey. One that I've already mentioned is that refugees are just like you and I. They are human beings. They are not the statistics we so often encounter in newscasts. They are not figures, and they cannot be treated as masses. They are human beings with own faith, with own families, with own hopes, with own dreams. Secondly, we wanted to show respect and to celebrate the heroism of Hungarian volunteers. As I mentioned earlier, hundreds of volunteers have given their time, their own effort, and their own resources to help refugees last summer. Many of the pictures we exhibit show these refugees in work and demonstrates how important the work they undertook was for refugees. As a third key message, we wanted to clearly demonstrate that despite all the sufferings these refugees went through, they still have got two very important things. They still have their dignities, and they still have their hopes. Their hopes for a safer, better, and happier future. Now, this positive approach might sound really unlikely in a crisis as grave as this one. But based on the feedback we received and based on the interest of the media and our diplomatic partners and NGO partners, we are convinced that we are on the right track. By the time of the recording of this presentation, the exhibition is not open yet, so I cannot refer to you about actual feedback. But we stand convinced that using these positive images and using hope as a key message, our message of showing refugees as just like human beings, just like you and me, will get across. Thank you very much.